Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Cramer. I have my friend Brad Yates with us, and he is the go-to guy for EFT. So I am super excited to share him with all of you. Welcome to the show, Brad.
Thank you, Alicia. It's great to be here with you.
All right. So you're that go-to expert. And really, for anyone who doesn't know what EFT is, they're in for a treat. And a lot of people probably have heard of EFT, or sometimes referred to as tapping. Emotional freedom techniques is the actual name of the technique. Right. And you learned from Gary Craig, the founder of EFT. And of course, he was a student of Roger Callahan. We could, get into the whole backstory, but that doesn't even matter, right? Because what's so great about EFT is it really is powerful and it really is effective. And I say that wholeheartedly as somebody who has been using it since 2005 and using it in private practice as well. That was one of the techniques that helped me to overcome post-traumatic stress disorder and completely clean up years worth of bad programming, really bad programming. So let's start by talking a little bit about you and your business so that our listeners can get a sense of, who's Brad and what is he doing? What is this EFT thing all about?
Who is this guy and why is he tapping on his face all the time? Yeah, thanks. I started as an actor and traveled the world doing theater. And when I came to Hollywood to be a movie star, I met my wife, fell in love, got married. And when our first child was on the way, I realized it might be a good idea to have a backup job. So, because my success mindset as an actor was not all that it needed to be. I look back now and go, man, if I knew what I know now back then, except that I love what I do so much that it would have been a shame if I hadn't found this. So I started doing hypnotherapy because I thought that would be an interesting second career. And after a couple of years of doing hypnotherapy and acting, when our second child was on the way, I thought, I realized that as much as I loved acting, personal development work was really my calling. I really loved doing this work, helping people with their mindset and allowing them to see more of what was possible for them. So we left Los Angeles and moved to Northern California. And through some other hypnotherapists, I heard about this energy psychology conference in Las Vegas. And this guy, Gary Craig, was doing a workshop on this thing called EFT, emotional freedom techniques, and thought, hey, sounds good. So I went. And for a lot of folks, the first time they see EFT, where we're actually tapping with our fingertips on our face, it looks a little strange. Now, as an actor, I had gone to Ringling Brothers Clown College, so tapping was not the strangest thing I'd ever done. It was a little bit easier for me to take it on. And I think the first thing that really sold it for me was he had us tapping on chocolate cravings, gave everybody some chocolate, said, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you want this? And I was like, I'm a bit of a chocoholic. It's an 8 or a 9. And after a few minutes of tapping, I could not eat the chocolate. And I didn't eat chocolate for 2 years after that. I recovered eventually, but that was one of those things that showed me that something that was so simple could be so profound and have such a result so quickly. So little by little, I started to introduce tapping into my hypnotherapy sessions, which little by little became tapping sessions. And at this time, so this is around 2000, early 2000s, and the internet was growing, and I put some of the first audio tapping sessions online as far as I know. I don't know. I wasn't aware of anybody else doing that. And then YouTube came along, and I thought, hey, wouldn't that be a cool thing if there's a tapping video that people could start their day with? And I'll call it Tap of the Morning. And that was all I intended to do, was that one video. And 6 months later, I thought, I should have a video for the end of the day. I'll call it Tap of the Evening. And then I'm done. And then I had another idea. And what has never been intended as a business tool became my main business tool, because I now have over 1,000 videos on YouTube. And that's how people find out about me, and that's how I get clients. Whereas I had no concept of, I'll put videos out there and that'll attract clients. And to this day, when I shoot a video for YouTube, it's never with the intent of, all right, here's another lead magnet, here's another thing that'll draw clients. And it's always coming from a place of, what would this help people? Is this something that gets people stuck? And is this something that I need to put into a product, or is this just a simple video that I can put out there for the world at large? And it's paid off nicely.
You have a huge YouTube following. It's really impressive how many people you are positively impacting through that vehicle. Now, I know, like for me, I did sort of the same thing with hypnosis audios on YouTube. And many of those had, hundreds of thousands of views. And then I started to kind of back off and slow down when I pivoted away from being seen and known as a general hypnotherapist.
Right.
And the more that I was working exclusively with business owners, I kind of repositioned and stuff like that. And it is a technique that is in many cases practiced with intention by business owners to be like you said, a lead magnet. And certainly there is value in giving value in exchange for bringing in business and bringing revenue in. But there is something a little bit magical about just doing it from the goodness of your heart. And I think that it conveys in a slightly different way than when people have an ulterior motive.
And I'm going to jump ahead, because I know you're going to ask me at some point, because you said you were going to, about a block in my business. And this is a perfect place to put it, because one of the blocks that I had was then making money on YouTube, because you can put ads. At a certain point, I was able to monetize videos. And I had a lot of reluctance, like, I'll be breaking faith with my audience. This is only supposed to be giving, and I'm not supposed to receive anything from this. And I mustn't ask anybody to sit through a short video advertisement in order to get this thing that they're getting for free. And that took years. And when I finally started to do it and started getting a decent income from that, that income then replaced what I used to make at a 9-to-5 day job that I hated. Like, in fact, more than that. I made more at that. And it was like, I can't believe that I waited so long to do this. And there was the occasional complaint.
You're always going to have some.
Absolutely. There's always going to be someone who's going to resent you or beat you up for doing that. And that's just, a tappable issue. It's like, even though not everybody's happy about this, for the most part, no one has a problem with it. I think most people are happy. It's like, hey, I'm getting this video for free. Yeah, I'm willing to do this. So that was probably the biggest block, or one of the blocks in terms of my mindset, in terms of business, was that being willing to ask for something. And I know there's all kinds of permutations of that, of people asking for higher fees and all of these things. It's that, I should just give. It's better to give than to receive, which we then translate into, which means I shouldn't receive at all and I should just give. And that's not a sustainable business model.
It is not. I just had a very, very serious conversation about this with one of my clients yesterday. She was getting a little bit of pushback she's rolling out a program where she's doing all the legwork, and she has these opportunities to send business to her students who she's trained. And of course, there's always got to be somebody with a little bit of scarcity consciousness that is going to give a little bit of pushback. And she started asking those questions, is she right? Should I be doing this for free? And I said, well, and we had a really, deep talk about this whole mindset thing. And the fact of the matter is, there are so many people that are wrestling with this kind of stuff. You see it all the time, especially at those earlier stages in business, where people are saying to themselves, well, if this is so easy for me, then shouldn't I just do it for free? And I love to use this example. So you go to a mechanic, okay? You've got a beautiful car, you love it, you want to take good care of it. Do you want to take your car to the mechanic who is just doing it to pay the bills? They're not naturally good at it. It takes them twice as long. They might make a few mistakes. Really, honestly, they're not very happy about being there or doing it because their real passion is something else. But this is the job that pays the bills, because the other thing they can't do to pay the bills. Or would you rather take your car to the mechanic who loves it? They absolutely love what they do. They're good at it. They can get it done in a fraction of the time. They're going to do it better because they know everything about that car, because it's just what they are passionate about. I personally not only would rather pay that individual to fix my car, but I'd be willing to pay them more to fix my car because I know that they are going to do a better job. And if we could just let go of this really ridiculous belief that when we have a natural talent or ability that we're just supposed to give it away for free, if everyone was doing the thing that was their genius, their strength, we'd all be happier, more abundant, more successful. I mean, the world would thrive compared to its current state. And yet, here we are bumping up against, I shouldn't charge for what I'm good at. I should go get a real job. And this is just going to be my part-time hobby when I have a few scraps of free time left over, and I'm not exhausted from being in a constant state of resistance to doing the thing that is soul sucking.
Right. And along that idea is I shouldn't make money doing something that helps people. Oh, so abundance should be for people who are hurting people. So, all the great things that we can experience in life, those are only for bad people. The good people should just go, no, that's fine. A job well done is reward enough.
Right,
Like,
right.
No, the universe wants to give you, and it's that exchange. And yeah, if it feels easy and joyful, that's a good sign that that's what you're supposed to be doing. And why would the universe give you those gifts and talents and say, all right, here's what's going to be really useful and serve other people and beneficial, and you're going to love it. It's going to be easy. So obviously I don't want you to make money doing that. But we never ask that. We have all these messages passed down from people coming from scarcity mentality, who are told you don't get to do what you love. You get it, you find a job and you make money regardless of whether you enjoy it. If you hate it, that's fine. And so passion is something that you're not ever going to make money at because they didn't make money at it, or they were taught by someone who didn't make money at it, who then has to justify it. Because no one is going to be able to say, look, I couldn't make it as an artist. I had to get a day job that I hated. But you can probably do it.
Oh yeah, that the ego just simply cannot accept that. And when we're talking about a technique like EFT, I mean, this is exactly the type of stuff that we can shift with EFT.
Yes, absolutely. Because we're talking about mindset. And the problem is the mind is already set. It's set in concrete from old stuff, old beliefs. And after a while, that stuff hardens. And so I hadn't actually thought about it being in concrete like that, because then we want to chip away at that concrete. I often talk about what I do is the Michelangelo process, because Michelangelo said the statues were already there, perfect inside the marble. All I have to do is chip away what doesn't belong to reveal the masterpiece that's inside. So that concrete of old, outdated, limiting beliefs that you're set in, we're just chipping that away to reveal the masterpiece that's already inside. That part of you that knows it's possible to be of great service and have a lucrative career doing something that you really love. So that's really what the tapping does, because we have a stress response when we try to make a change. Our mind likes things in a certain way, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's crap. This idea of you can't make money doing what you love, or you shouldn't make money doing what you love, is just a belief. But if we've heard it enough times, and and then we want to prove it right, because as human beings, we love to be right. So we'll find ways to sabotage any success doing what we love and go, see, there it is. I'm right. And the people who taught me that were right. And yay, all of us were so right. And it's not real, but we're stuck in that. And if we try to make a change, then the amygdala in our brain sees this threat, says, oh, no, we couldn't work that way. What if the people who taught us that will be so upset? So we have all these reasons. So we, even before we're consciously aware of it, we shove away any change. We avoid it because we have this subtle stress response. Tapping at its basic, at the very basic level, is a stress relief technique. So it's just a very simple way of dealing with that stress, is we're tapping along and tapping through these different points and calming down the stress response. We can break up that concrete. We can unset the mind so that we can set it in something much more positive, saying, I deserve to. My friend Denise Duffield Thomas, I don't know if you know her work in Australia about abundance, but she has this little meme that says, I deserve because I serve. And having that as a mindset. And there's all kinds of possible statements that we can then really set in there that allow us to be who we are at our best, and allow us to receive the best that the world has to give us.
I like to refer to that as reconditioning.
Yeah.
So we take the old stuff out. It's like weeds. It's like weeds in a beautiful flower garden, right? So you put all of this good stuff in, you're planting all of these beautiful flowers with the books that you're reading and the courses that you're taking and all of this empowering stuff that you're investing time and money into. And then you've got these big, ugly weeds that are dirtying up the beauty of this flower garden that you're creating. And EFT and other, modalities that do similar types of things, it's really like ripping those weeds out and getting the root out so that it doesn't come back. That way, all that positive reconditioning work that you've done is effective, because I've seen this in my own life. I'm sure you probably have too. You've probably seen it with your clients. I've seen it with my clients. You do all this good stuff, and then you're still bumping up against the same types of challenges over and over and over again. And it can be extremely disheartening. But I've literally invested so much time and resources into, learning this and doing that. And I've taken all of these actions, and I'm still experiencing the same limitations, the same struggles, the same challenges. And I always explain, you've got to rip those out by the roots. You can positive talk yourself all you want, but if you still have these old beliefs that are saying, I'm never going to have enough, I'm never going to be enough, there's something fundamentally wrong with me, I always create that type of relationship, or whatever it is. We've all got literally thousands of them, right? But that's all it takes, is that insidious belief that we have not resolved yet, to be the reason for the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Or you get a whole bunch of positive momentum going, and then wham, you fall right back to your old set point.
Right. You can take the hot air balloon, you can fill it full of hot air, but if the stakes are still tied down, you're only going to get a few feet off the ground, and even if, and then you've got all the ballast that's there. So, yeah, and that's, we create this identity. So to go back to your analogy of the garden, if we've had the weeds there forever, we see ourselves as a weed garden. It's like that. It's a weed garden. And I can try to plant flowers, but those flowers are going to have a hard time taking root in the weed thing. If I see myself as a couch potato and I decide that I want to get in shape and I start to exercise feels like it's totally counter intuitive to who I am. But if I can change my identity and say, I'm a healthy athletic person, then that same action of exercising just feels like, well, of course, that's what I do. But we get this, we have all this identity stuff about success. I'm never successful. I'm this. And we have all these ideas about what's safe for us. So what you were just saying about the going to the seminars and reading the books, I had a woman come up and say, I've gone to all the seminars, I've read all the books, I've done all these, and I'm not making the amount of money I want. I said, all right, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Now, think about having the amount of money you say you want. And say, it's safe to have this. And feel what that feels like. And on a scale of 0 to 10, how safe does it feel? And she's like, oh, it's a 3. And I said, bingo. If you had a small child and that child was invited to a birthday party and you looked at where the birthday party was and you said, on a scale of 0 to 10, how safe is it for my child to go to that party? And if it was a 3, would you let your child go to that birthday party? If it only feels like a 3 in terms of how safe it is to make that amount of money, you are brilliantly stopping yourself from what feels unsafe. And it's having that compassion for ourselves that, even those weeds, I believed I needed those. I was taught that that's what it's supposed to be. And that's what's safest. And having, if I plant beautiful flowers in there, people are going to want to come to my garden and they're going to bother me. If I just have weeds, I'm safe. No, people are going to leave me alone and whatever it might be. And finding out, why might I not think it's safe to have what I say that I want? And then we start tapping and calming down that fear and go, oh, I could handle that. That's not really that dangerous for me. All these reasons why we wouldn't want to have that success, why we wouldn't want to have that money. Oh, my friends will be jealous. Well, that's their problem. And they're probably stopping themselves. So we're both limiting ourselves. We're both insisting on having weeds in our garden for fear that the other person will be jealous. It's like, hey, if I get rid of the weeds and plant the beautiful flowers, maybe they'll catch on and go, oh, I was really jealous of you, but now tell me how to do that. And then we both live the life we're supposed to be living.
That identifying process is incredibly important. A lot of our stuff, when we see it for what it really is, our initial reaction is, wow, that's completely irrational. But if we don't see that it's there, it just continues to operate as part of that operating system, and we are unconsciously sabotaging ourselves. And so I always encourage my clients to look at what kind of ridiculous stuff is going on in your mind. That's just stuff that's been conditioned into you. And you said it so beautifully. We do need to be compassionate with ourselves because we didn't choose. We didn't say, oh, I'm 2-3 years old and my parents are struggling financially. I'm going to be like them. Right.
Yeah, we pick up everything. Oh, that's walking. Okay, I'll try that. That's talking. I'll try that. That's arguing about money and having limiting beliefs. No, I think that I won't do that one. We're sponges. We take it all in and we're doing the best we can. And there's that part of us that what you were saying about the awareness and being able to look at that. And when we see it, it's like, really? That? But there's that part of us that says, no, don't be aware of that because that's not safe. Don't look on, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Don't look at what's up in the attic. You don't want to see that, because if you see that, you might be free, and then you'll live the life that you've been told you shouldn't be allowed to live. You know, if I take an opportunity to look at these beliefs, then I'll have that success that my parents said, well, that's not really in the cards for us. We're not those kind of people. And we'll all be jealous if you had that anyway. So we brilliantly stop ourselves from looking at it. And because that fear and stress response. So that's why I love tapping, because it gives us permission to walk into the room. It's like put on a hazmat suit. So you can walk in. It's like, okay, I can deal with the toxic fumes because I have this safety suit on, and look and go, oh yeah, this doesn't make any sense. I got to get rid of this stuff.
I'd love to briefly talk about the actual process. So for anyone who is listening to this and they're thinking to themselves, what is this tapping on the face that he keeps talking about? What is that all about? Can you just give a really high level overview of what EFT is? So you referenced tapping with the fingertips. We haven't really talked about the energy meridian points at all. Can you just go into a little bit of that so people have some context?
Yeah, absolutely. It was originally developed, as you said, by Dr. Roger Callahan, who was a psychologist. While working with a client on water phobia, he was also at that time learning about acupressure. So acupressure and acupuncture, it's for thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they've said there's this flow of energy through the body along pathways that are called meridians. Kind of like the veins and arteries run through our body, these meridians are likewise pathways of energy through our body. And when this energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of health and well-being, physically and emotionally. When this energy gets stuck somehow, we don't feel so good. We don't think as clearly. We don't make the best choices. And that has all kinds of unfortunate consequences. So in traditional acupuncture, the doctor would stick needles in these different points around the body. And we're just tapping with our fingertips on these same points in order to stimulate that healthy flow of energy. And we now have a growing body of scientific research validating this process as a stress relief technique. We have cortisol studies. So cortisol is one of the main stress hormones. When we go into fight or flight, cortisol starts pumping through our body. And in double-blind studies, the groups doing the tapping dramatically lower their cortisol. We have fMRI studies where you can see where the brain lights up, different parts of the brain activity, depending on things like food addiction and food cravings. And then after the tapping, those parts of the brain aren't lighting up anymore. So while most of us who have been tapping for a long time just know that it works and we feel better from doing it, it's great that we have the scientific evidence showing that it's not just, well, I think I feel better. We can actually see biological markers showing that change is happening.
So right now, there are people thinking to themselves, okay, I've got to do some EFT. How can our listeners get in contact with you and learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, thanks. The easiest way is to go to my website, tapwithbrad.com. And I'm also on social media, particularly YouTube. As I said, I've got over 1,000 videos on there. So that's the simplest thing. If you go to my website, there will be information on how the process works and the history if you want to learn more about that, and then links to the videos. And you can go directly to YouTube and put in EFT or Brad Yates. And I have a lot of great colleagues who also have videos. And that's the easiest way, is to just follow along to start off with, and just tap where we tap and repeat back the phrases. And sometimes the relief is really quick and profound. You may be feeling stress at like an 8 out of 10, and you may go to 0 like that. Sometimes it may go from an 8 to a 7.75, and you do another round. And when we're tapping, it's often like peeling the layers of the onion. So you might be tapping along thinking, oh gosh, what's really bothering me is I'm angry at Bob. And you'll be tapping all this anger at Bob, all this anger at Bob. Oh, wait a minute, it's not even Bob, it's Cindy. That thing she did to me in the third grade, I'm still upset about that. And you can start clearing out decades of stuff that has been limiting your health, wealth, and happiness. So it's really profound in that. I recommend it on a daily basis. It's like energy hygiene. We have physical hygiene, like brushing our teeth, taking a shower. Most of us do it on a daily basis, whether we feel we need it or not. We don't wait until somebody's holding their nose around us and then go, oh, that's right, I haven't taken a shower in 3 weeks. But with stress, most of us don't have a way of cleaning that on a daily basis, although we have lots of ways of building it up on a daily basis. So to take a few minutes every day and just be clearing that stress out just creates a greater opening for you to have that success mindset. All that clearing away that stuff that interrupts the success mindset and distracts us, then we have much greater freedom to succeed.
So good. So glad that I was able to share you.
As am I.
So thank you so much, Brad. This has been a great conversation. I think we touched on some sticky points that a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah, and I hope that folks will take advantage of this technique and allow yourself to have greater success, because that benefits so many other people. Please and thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Be the mechanic who is doing it because they love it.
Amen.
And I want to, of course, thank all of our listeners. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.